Okay. Hello everybody again. Um, I'm going to make a quick video today to review the different kinds of slurs for the trombone and make sure that we are all comfortable identifying which uh, when we can use each kind of slur, because this will be important not only for your playing and teaching but also for the test that you'll have to do um, on Friday, as well as the final test. But most importantly, that it's just important to have this knowledge. So we had talked that there's three basic types of slurs for the trombonist. So the most basic is the lip slur. And then the next step would be the natural slur. And the third one, which is the most challenging, is the tongued slur. So those are the three basic types. We'll review each one right now. So start with the lip slur. So the lip slur is a slur between two notes two different notes without moving the slide. So the slide doesn't move in a lip slur. And thirdly, no tongue. No tongue at all is used in a lip slur. It's just the embouchure and the air. Use of the embouchure and use of the air to change the pitch. So that would be like going from a B flat, like we do in our warm up to an F. So that would be a lip slur. Both are in first position. Both notes are in first position. And you don't need the tongue. They're on different partials. Also, going up to the B flat above it, either from this B flat up to that B flat. You can do a lip slur that way, skipping over the F, just going from the low B flat to the high B flat. They are still two different notes, even though they're both B flat. They're both different octaves of that pitch. So they're two different notes. There's no slide movement needed. It's in first position, and there's no tongue. And we can go from there, but these are within our range so far in this course. So those are lip slurs. So any note that you have in first position can be lip slurred to any other note in first position. Same thing with second position. So if you had an A, you could lip slur to an E. You could also lip slur to an A, and it goes up and up and up, up through the overtone series. So you could also lip slur from an E to an A, or from an E down to an A, and the lower A. And then we could keep on going down to A flat in third position. Could lip slur to an E flat. Could lip slur to an A flat. And we could keep on going. G, D, and G, and F, C, F, and E, B, and E, which I've run out of space a bit here. There we go. So let me fix that F, and also the E down here, below E in seventh position. 7, 6. Missed 5. So the G flat, D flat, and G flat. Fifth position. G, fourth, A flat, A, and then first position. So that's the lip slur. Next, let's look at the natural slur. And so the natural slur is, again, two different notes. The slide moves. Slide moves from one position to a different position, but still there's no tongue. Okay. And the best way that I have found to explain this is to think of, we have the different partials like we've briefly talked about in the trombone. We have those natural breaks in the overtone series, like from B flat to F, and all on down through the positions. So if you think of those as different floors in a building, so maybe if we start down on our low B flat, I'll write it up here. So that's that low B flat partial is the first floor. Okay, and so we could even draw a bit of a floor here. I'm going to slant it down just a bit. So that first floor goes from the B flat down to the E, because we can start B flat in first position and we can gliss all the way down to E in seventh position. If we don't use any tongue, it's just going to be one long smear. Okay, so that's the B flat right here down to the E here. The next floor up would be the F, the next partial. So and that goes down to B. So that would be there's actually so we could call this the first floor. We could call this the second floor for now. There's actually a basement, a pedal range that we don't need to cover right now. So we have this as our second floor here. because we can gliss from that F all the way through E and E flat and D and all the notes in between all the way down to that B natural. The B natural there. And then let's go for the one more floor up is that tuning B flat that we've started to work on, and that'll go down like it was here, just an octave higher to that E there. So that's the third floor in this example. So natural slurs occur. Put that arrow in there for consistency. So if I were to play a note on this floor to a note on this floor, it's going to be a natural slur. If it's not a lip slur, like we talked about, like a lip slur would be from B flat to F, so that would be a lip slur. But if I were to go B flat to D, D in the middle here, so D in fourth position, so go from the low B flat to D, that's in this floor here. So that could be a natural slur. I would be moving the slide from first position to fourth position, and I would have to be going up that floor there. And so I would not need a tongue. I would just go from first position to fourth position. The pitch would be going up, and the slide would be going out to get that. So likewise, let's pick a different note. So maybe I start on, pick a different example here. Maybe I have a piece of music that has a slur from C in sixth position up to A up here. In second position, right before we get to tuning B flat. So, or it could be the A down here, either way. Second position here as well. Either of those could be a natural slur because we're jumping those floors. So, where the pitch is going up here and the slide's coming in, but it can also be a natural slur just because we are just because we're jumping the partial there. So no tongue is needed. The slide is moving from sixth to second in both of these. And this time over here the pitch is going down, the minor third from C to A. But still it has to jump that floor, so it can be a natural slur. So maybe when you're starting out, you might write out these kind of floors and kind of even write out the letter names in between so that you know. So we have F, and we have E, D, C, E flat, and everything in between, right? E flat, D flat, all right, let me not sure what happened here, where my pen went. I'd really like to have a pen back. Okay. There we go. All right. So, so I'll just write them in here. So E, E flat, D, and D flat, C, and then B natural. So on a test or something, just so you get used to it, you might make these floors and write the letter names in here so that you have a visual to look at while you're getting used to it. Again, for students, I wouldn't necessarily quiz them or even necessarily bring this up unless maybe a high school student who needs to really learn natural slurs and things like that. But for an elementary school aged beginner or any beginner, I might just do tongue slurs for the most part, and then maybe introduce lip slurs as like a warm-up exercise, and then natural slurs and combined with tongue slurs like a trombonist should do can come later. But so tonguing everything in the beginning stages is probably the smartest way to go. Tongue everything and then introduce lip slurs, and then later introduce natural slurs. So yeah, a little bit of extra stuff there. Okay, I'll just fix this real quick. All right, and so again, here it would be A flat, G, G flat, F, F, and then E. So all those notes up there and the same down here, just an octave lower. G flat, F, and E. So that's kind of a visual representation anyway. So on the music, if we look at that, with this visual in mind, let's go. So let's say in the music we have B flat down here going to an E flat. And it's slurred. Yeah, I could have written that more clearly, but anyway, you get the idea. So we have B flat to E flat. It's supposed to be slurred. So we have the B flat right here going to the E flat up here. So they're on the different floors, changing slide. The slide is moving from first position to third position, so we can do that with no tongue because it's jumping these floors. Okay, so that's natural slurs. And tongue slurs are basically everything else. Anything that you can't is a lip slur, and a natural slur is a tongue slur. So, and the goal of the tongue slur is to make it sound as smooth and connected as the natural or lip slur. So, tongue slur is going to be, again, two different notes. Two different notes within the same partial. So, or floor. You can think of them as, if we think of them still as floors. So two notes within one of those floors. If you don't tongue it, it's going to be a gliss. So you have to tongue those. Slide moves tongue needed. So, if we think about those floors again, and I'll look back here. So if we have maybe something on the second floor here. So the second floor is F all the way down to B natural. So if I come down here and try and give you an example of what a tongue slur might look like. So there's the F here. And so if we have an F going down to, oh, let's make it really hard. So F going down to, well, never mind. Let's just go to a D. And there's a slur mark over it, F down to a D. So they're on that same floor. F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, down to B natural. So that's all on that same floor there on the F partial. So if you don't, it's going to be a gliss. If you don't tongue it, it's going to be a gliss. So you have to do a very quick legato tongue there. Also, if you're going to have one from F all the way down to B natural, slurred, you're going to have to go from first position to seventh position and move the slide as quickly as possible. And you're going to have to tongue that. So that's tongued slurs. Anything within that same partial. One more quick thing about the natural slurs. Now this is not always correct, but well, anyway, in general, couple rules of thumb you can kind of go by here. So with a natural slur, if the pitch from one note to the next is ascending, going up, and the slide is going out, away from the body, then it's always going to be a natural slur. So the pitch is ascending, the slide is moving out, away from the body. So for example, like this, B flat to E flat. So the slide is moving from first to third, it's moving away from the body, and the pitch is ascending. So that works all the time. If the slide's going out, the pitch is going up, it always can be a natural slur. And so the second rule of thumb is if the pitch is going down, descending, and the slide is moving in towards you, towards the body, then it's also a natural slur. Again, because the slide's moving, the slide wasn't moving, it would be a lip slur. But since the slide is moving from one position to the other, it could potentially be a natural slur. And if the pitch happens to be descending, and while the slide is coming in towards the body, it's always going to be a natural slur. So that would be like if we were starting on, let's say, G flat here. I'll move this down slightly. So we're starting on G flat there. And let's go to G flat down to a low B flat. Slurred. Let's put some stems here. So slur with slur marking. Pitch is going down. Slide is coming in from fifth for the G flat into first position for the B flat, so that's going to be a natural slur. And it doesn't always have to be these bigger intervals either. If I have a G flat again, G flat in fifth position. This would be a good example. Going to an F in first position. Okay, so G flat in fifth position. Going to an F in first position, slurred, is going to be a natural slur. Now this can get kind of tricky because so it's because of this rule. The pitch is going down, the slide is coming in from fifth to one. So these two rules are pretty much infallible. They're always going to be right. Now, if you actually look at your visual here, when you don't think about it too much, you see G flat and then you see F right next to it. Well, and you think, oh, well, those are on the same floor, so it's got to be if I don't tongue there, it's going to be a gliss, so I've got to do a tongue slur there. But you think about the positions. So we also have that same F right here on that second floor. And like we've been doing, the most common position that we're going to play that F in, this F right here, the most common position we're going to play that in, like we've been doing, is in first position. You could play it in sixth position. It's the same pitch. And if this was played in sixth position, okay, we'll put that in parentheses. So if we were to use the alternate position to play that F, which isn't necessarily a bad decision because you're moving from fifth to sixth, so you're only shifting one slide position. That would have to be a tongued slur. If I were labeling that, I would put a T there for if it was in sixth position. So I'm using the alternate position for F here, 5 to 6. And so that doesn't go with this rule. The pitch is going down, but the slide is also going out. So that's going to be a tongue slur from 5th to 6th. So, but using the primary positions would be 5 to 1, and that's crossing over from this G flat to F in first position. So that's crossing over the floor there to make it a natural slur. Now that's really important to get a grasp on. And also another reason why having this visual written out on your test or whatever can help. So that's basically it, I believe. Lip slurs, natural slurs, and tongue slurs. The hardest thing that people get stuck on is the difference between natural slurs and tongue slurs, and it's exactly reasons like this. The fact that there's an F here and there's an F here. So if the test says use all the primary positions, that means you're going to use the F in first. But there may be a bonus question or whatever that says, it's possible to tongue or use a different slur if you use an alternate position, and you might write the alternate position 6 there, means that you can tongue it. So I'm fairly certain that does show up on the test somewhere, and more importantly, it's just increases your familiarity with how the trombone works. And I think this kind of visual reference with these floors helps that. So let me know if you have any questions. That just about covers the lip slur. Again, 2 different notes, no slide movement, no tongue. Natural slurs, 2 notes, 2 different notes. The slide is moving, no tongue. And the tongue slur, the 2 different notes within that same floor, within the same partial, with the slide moving where the tongue is needed. So we could put that G flat to F example here if we were using 6th position. One more. Let me see if we can think of one more example. I mean, anything going to that F. So even if we started on G in 4th position here and went to the F in 6th position, that would be a tongue slur. But if we're using primary positions, we'll go to 1st position for that F. So the slide will be coming in and the pitch will be going down. So that'll be a natural slur. From the G in 4th to the F in 1st. Let's see. Likewise, so we have E's as well. E is also common between these. So if I were to play A in 2nd to E in 7th, I'd have to tongue. But that's very unlikely that I would want to do that. So that would actually be a tongue slur from A to E. But if I reuse primary positions, A to E, they're both in 2nd position. A down to E natural. So that would actually be a lip slur using the primary position here. So I know that's kind of getting cluttered there on the visual side of everything, but so referencing this kind of floor thing can help clear up some of those confusing points there. Okay, I believe that's about it for natural slurs and tongue slurs and lip slurs. All right, see you in class.